Can you imagine a brand worth $4 billion? $4 billion, and in only a few short years has fallen all the way down to be worth 99% less. And this brand, by the way, did operate mainly in e-commerce. When e-commerce has been booming, the whole e-com industry is flying high. Brands are bigger than ever. This company, worth 4 billion, a few years later, now worth barely 40 million. Crazy. This is the story of Allbirds, how they went from this to this. What a monumental fuck up. These two random guys got together, two pals, one a tech nerd and one who knows some shit about wool, and they got together and made something fantastic. They started in 2014, they launched a Kickstarter, they only wanted to get to around 30k, but in the end, they got to over 100k plus, and their product was fantastic. I'll admit, even I'm a buyer, or was a buyer of Allbirds. That soft to the touch merino wool, light on the foot, let the air in so your foot didn't stink bad, but then also allowed your foot to stay warm when it was cold. Like, me, what a product. They basically were the media darling. They were the shoe to be wearing in Silicon Valley. If you worked in tech in Silicon Valley back in the day, if you weren't wearing Allbirds, you weren't part of the crew. That's how much of a tight grip, like a vice, they had on the whole Silicon Valley industry. Obama was wearing them. DiCaprio was wearing them. Time magazine crowned them the most comfortable shoe in the world. What press? I mean, you can't buy that sort of press. How did you fuck this up, guys? And the business ramped up so much, they decided to go public. Good for you. The holy grail that every founder wants, and hit that $1 billion milestone. And they did. When they first launched, I believe they were worth around $2 billion at IPO, and the stock ramped all the way up to $4 billion. $4 billion in valuation. Imagine that. From making a random shoe in your basement to becoming a $4 billion shoe company in only a matter of years. Kudos. Kudos to you guys. But then they went public and they fucked the whole thing up because they thought they could be Nike. They had dreams of being on the next Olympics, winning the 100 meters, winning the marathons, winning the high jump. That's what they thought they were going to be. And yet, they completely betrayed the people who got them to the dance. So they raised 200 million, went public, and decided to open 60 stores. Did you hear what I just said? The e-commerce giant that made all their money online, when e-commerce is booming more than ever, they decided to open 60 stores. 60, not 6. Not test it out and see if it works. 60 in 2 years. And the whole thing went up. The numbers started crumbling fast. The wheels started falling off like you can't believe. They started discounting their hero product, the wool merino runner, which was, like I said, one of my favorite shoes ever to wear. I started seeing this literally piling up in discount places. I couldn't believe it. The thing I was spending 100, 150 bucks online for, people were now trying to sell on discount for 20, 30 bucks. I was like, wow, yes, I might have picked up a few pairs, but the gloss was gone. The shine was gone. And once the shine is gone, it's gone forever. And just as the price of the shoes went down, the stock price was going down. This thing, I think, peaked around 32, 35, something like this. And it went all the way down to be trading below $1. Wow. I know the SaaS apocalypse is going on right now and SaaS stocks are getting a battery, but to lose 99% of your value, that's tough, man. That's tough. And while this landslide in the stock price kept on happening, instead of going back to their roots, they were launching leggings, apparel, different types of sneakers, different types of running shoes. They were basically trying anything and everything to keep the lights on, instead of doing the one thing they should have done from the beginning, go back to their base and stick to their core values. But because they didn't have any, they tried to be everything to everyone all the time, everywhere. When you stand for everything, you stand for nothing. And this is what they realized but it was too late. And the problem they had was being a hipster shoe for a very niche bunch of people who absolutely love them doesn't mean it's going to translate to world dominance. Those people who loved you bought your shoes online. They loved that experience. They knew that experience. You should have stayed in your lane and stuck to it, and you would have been a billion-dollar business, and you could have grown there. You could have exploited that niche even more, made more things that that niche wanted, but you didn't listen to your customers. You decided to go on your own personal quest, and it cost you everything. And I think it's just a cautionary tale of not sticking to what your customers want. When it all boils down to it, Allbirds' biggest mistake wasn't their marketing, it wasn't their product, it wasn't their positioning, it was the fact that their business model was completely broken. And when they moved from a winning business model to a business model they thought was going to get them to the hundreds of billions, I think the problem was they were listening to probably the VCs who told them, look, online is great, but you can't be a billion-dollar, let's say, shoe business until you're in retail. I'm sure they heard that a lot. Again, I'm speculating, but again, stick to what got you to the party. It doesn't mean you don't diversify. I just think as marketers and as people who are in business, especially selling online, it can be really attractive to think, oh, we haven't conquered this traditional way of doing it, this retail way. And you can make money in retail if you move from e-com to retail the right way. You can. You really can. But when you misidentify the identity of the people who were buying you and for what reason they were buying, you would realize for Allbirds, retail is a terrible idea. And even if you are going to go retail, you keep it very small, very niche, very high end, up there where you're very exclusive. In maybe some exclusive boutiques, maybe you go that route and see if it works. But to become a high street retailer of sneakers and shoes, it just wasn't going to work. And what now has become of Allbirds? Allbirds have sold their business for $39 million. That's a drop of 99% from their peak value. And you know what? Fair play. At least they got something for it. But guess what? In this world we live in, of course Allbirds ain't going out like that. They're pivoting. Now AI is what Allbirds is doing. They sold the company, they're taking the money, and now they're calling themselves New Bird AI. Can you fucking believe it? That's what you do in this day and age. When you fuck up your e-com business, or fuck up any business at all, just rebrand, slap AI on there, and voila, you're now an AI tech company. Good luck to you. At the end of the day, man, you can't knock the hustle. They made a mistake in e-com. They've pivoted now to AI. Who hasn't made these mistakes? I wish these guys, New Birds AI, all the best. But what a cautionary tale. It just goes to show, when you have something, fire in a bottle, keep flaming that fire. Don't pour out that and try and pour everything into a new bottle. It's not going to work. And the moral of the story, not all birds have wings. Some birds just weren't meant to fly. And these guys flew too close to the sun and got burnt to a fucking crisp. Charcoaled, grilled, sauteed, barbecued, the whole fucking lot. But like I said, AI is the future. So good luck to them. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. And if you're into e-commerce, check out AlphaWeb. It's an absolutely fantastic platform for people who are in e-com. See you on the next one.